Litre by litre, the water problem grows in South Africa. They call it acid mine drainage, and here it flows into a dam on its way to the nearby Vaal River. Millions of litres a day emerge from uranium workings just outside Randfontein to the west of Johannesburg. Rand Uranium, which mines here, tries to treat the water with lime to break down the harmful metals in its midst. Most of this water is a cocktail of iron pyrates, high sulfate, uranium and manganese. For nearly 10 years, activist Mariette Lieferink has been pounding the roads around Johannesburg. The daughter of a judge who spent her life as an ordained clergywoman is trying to tell the world about the growing problem of contaminated water in South Africa. She says the damage of 120 years of mining is largely to blame.
That acid mine drainage will continue not for decades but for centuries. All these tailings dams that surround us contain approximately 6 billion tonnes of iron pyrite. Every time it rains or there is seepage or percolation of water, it generates acid mine drainage. So it is not just the flooding of the mining basins and the decant on surface, there is also an unqualified volume of acid mine water flowing subsurface.
And it's a national problem. This map gives some idea of how groundwater is threatened across the country, from everything from urban and industrial effluent to metals and mining. Dr. Anthony Turton is an academic and one of South Africa's leading water experts.
Well, if nothing is done, then I hate to be a doomsayer. But if you join all the dots and you take the logical end conclusion of this game that we're playing, it becomes a crash and burn scenario. And it's not a crash and burn scenario as in a one train smash that happens instantaneously. It's a slow breakdown. It's a number of smaller little incidents that happen over the country. And in effect, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to start seeing food prices increasing. And it's very interesting to note that in the not too distant past, a month or so back, we had rioting in Mozambique, completely unpredicted, completely out of the blue. And what was driving those riots? Increases in food prices, increases in water prices, increases in energy prices. So we have that element of unpredictability now in a society where we have large amounts of unemployment, large amounts of poverty. And things like energy price, water price, food price are hugely significant to the man in the street.
Farmers are also feeling it. Contaminated water from nearby mines and tailings dumps seep into the soil, damaging it and cutting down yields. Many farmers in South Africa are affected by the problem of contaminated water. Many too are afraid to speak about it for fear that the association may blight their crops. What is clear is that finding enough safe water is likely to be a headache for farmers.
Well, you know, we had a water commission way back in the 1960s, and they predicted that by 2020 South Africa would not have enough water for growing food, and because we classified by the United Nations as a semi-arid country. So we're not a well water endowed country. The quality of water in many of our rivers is deteriorating.
It's a multi-billion-dollar problem, and business is already feeling the pinch. Mining company Rand Uranium, which is responsible for this pipe, says it's spending R2.5 million a month on treating this water. That's more than $250,000. The company said in a statement, the problem will only be solved permanently with significant investment. We've been doing all we can to keep the challenge under control in the short term, while participating constructively in the wider solution, which now requires a much greater level of commitment by all, including industry and government. An admission that efforts so far have been a mere drop in the ocean, in the face of a growing and worrying ocean of contaminated water.